All right, it's your boy Bud again, back with another one, y'all. We about to go in real quick. It's about to be lit, just like the rest of them. Today, we're going to be talking about spells and sorcery, pretty much political sorcery, the type of language that they use inside of the courtrooms, and just the effects that took place before and after that. So we just about to get right on into it. Y'all already know. Boom, let's do it. The UCC legalese in common English, which I call political sorcery. So, the words that we use on the daily mean something completely different inside of a courtroom. And we use the regular dictionary, thesaurus, and etc. Now, that's pretty much known as common English. Inside of the courtroom, they don't use common English. They use Black's Law Dictionary and the Uniform Commercial Code. Lawyers use Black's Law Dictionary. Judge use the Uniform Commercial Code and Black's Law Dictionary, and they have an understanding of common English. And this is how they trap people into their jurisdictions. This is how they trap people into their jails. Having done some time before, I met plenty older brothers in there, and they say, hey, you can only go to jail if you sign yourself up for it. And I never knew what they were talking about, but this is what they're talking about. Because before you actually go to jail, I mean, of course, they're going to apprehend you and take you to jail until you see a judge or whatever. But before you really catch some time, they're going to ask you, are you satisfied with the time that you're getting? Are you satisfied with your representation? Did anyone coerce you into doing what you're doing? And a lot of times people say no, yes, yes, no, yes, and they completely agree to going to jail or prison. And this is how they do that. So we're going to get more into it now. Okay, so the Black Codes of the 1860s. Now, pretty much it's like this, starting with the paragraph on the left, a little bit in the middle. After 1861 through 1865, it says that the Black Codes recognize the new status of African Americans as freed people and offered them some, not half, not the majority, just some of the basic rights of citizenship. And it says, however, the codes also define the freed people as legally subordinate to whites and attempted to manage their labor in a way that would cause minimum disruption to the labor system instituted under slavery. Meaning that we are Moors, and that during this time of 1865, when they were changing our status from Moors, because remember in 1621, they took us from Moors to being Indians. Then from there, you probably got Native Americans. And then from there, you got African Americans, because now they're trying to tell us. They're not telling us, they're trying to create it for the next generation, the idea that we came from Africa. And they came up with the term African American. And they created that term. And if we use any terms that they create, they have jurisdiction over us. Because remember, the Moors are a Semitic people, and you cannot enslave a Semitic people. But if you can get these Semitic people to call themselves something different, then you can slave those people. To the right, it says the caste word system used for colored people. It says the caste word system, which were coined to steal the birthrights of the Moors, to steal the birthrights of the Moorish Americans and their descendants. The labels are black, Negro, colored, and other words which have no attachment to the human family and no attachment to the land. Therefore, they are void and artificial at law. And colored people means artificial people. And the reason why colored people mean artificial people is because in the Black's Law Dictionary that the lawyers use, anything that is colorable or colored appears to be it, but not it in reality. And these are the laws. Go and look this up. Because you have colorable courts, which are courts that appear to be courts, but are not courts in reality. Colorable laws that appear to be laws in public, but are not laws in reality. They're ordinances, statutes, and codes. And now we see how we were pretty much tricked. And we went along with it. They had Rick James saying that we were black and proud. Young Jesus, my president is black. On the pieces of paper, you check the word black or white. When they did this, they didn't just enslave the Moors or black people. They took this opportunity to enslave everyone. When they came out with the 14th Amendment, that was directly for the Moors, who they tricked into choosing to call themselves African Americans, which means that they are descendants of slaves, which makes them subordinate to white people. And I was having a conversation with a gentleman. We were having a lecture amongst other great minds, and he was furious about the treatment that he endured in the 60s and the 70s. And he was explaining his case using the word black people and us black people. And I had to explain to him that the words that he and they were choosing to use at that time, that they knew no better. But the words that they were choosing to use were the same words that were inflicting the damage upon them. And this is what the spells are. Because knowledge is power. And once you know, you don't fall for the spell. Once you have intelligence and that light, it shines and it makes the darkness recede. So a person can't just tell you anything because you have the knowledge. I use this in a couple of other videos, but it says the Moorish noble titles Ali, El, Bey, Al, and Dey are the land of the Almorocs, the Americas, and the original we the people of the Constitution. And it says that European colonization of the Americas and the 9 judges of their Supreme Court were all founded upon the Moorish Constitution, and that is the Moorish Zodiac Constitution. It says that the USA lawmakers have no jurisdiction over the free Moors within and without the borders of their own inherited lands, namely the USA, North America, Canada, Central, and South Americas. And this is the power that the judges are afraid of because our status as indigenous aboriginals supersedes their authority. And that we minimize ourselves to their jurisdiction by claiming to be black, Negro, and African American. And by not claiming our Moorish heritage and not reserving our rights. And that when we agreed to be United States citizens, it took us out of our Moorish sovereignty. And I'm mentioning that because it is wordplay that was used to get us out of our Moorish sovereignty. And it was wordplay along with the combination of energy manipulation. Because when you're lying to a person, you have to manipulate your energy. You have to play on that person's intelligence. You have to know that you know something that they don't know, and you're not willing to let them know what it is that you do know. In the Bible, it does not say that the devil is a red horned being. It says that the devil is a deceiver. The devil is a liar, a cheater, a thief, a cunning individual. And this is where spells came about. Spells don't just mean you sitting in front of a pot that's boiling and you're throwing spices and all of this other stuff. No. Spells are your intention. Spells are also the beverages, like the alcohol that's on every corner, the music that you listen to that you don't understand that you're chanting, the negativity that they're pushing that you don't understand that you're chanting, that becomes your reality. And the words that we were deciding to use that was given to us is what enslaved us. Okay, so shout out to Brother C. Freeman L. God bless his soul. He pretty much gave me a rabbit hole to go down with Daniel and Noah Webster. And yes, they were there for the signing of the Constitution. And they also were high degree Freemasons. And that their job was to help fuck up the language. And that's exactly what they did. And what I mean by mess up the language, I mean that they gave the basic people the common English to operate by, while in the background, in the higher political arenas and civic arenas, different words mean different things. And all of this was premeditated. And this is why the English language is messed up now. Because it's all a spell. And when you are unaware of it, you put spells on yourself and on people around you. And what I mean by that is words mean different things, and they have etymology that creates the word that we speak. Words have power, and under the right tone of voice, under the right frequency or vibration, under the right alcoholic beverage or potion, we put things into effect. And our words transcend our reality. And it starts to create that new reality based off of what we just put out there. And that's kind of like the best way that I can explain it without taking all day. Like, I can't explain it, but I know that I'm recording. If we were face to face, I'd be able to be like, yeah, this is how it is, this is how it is. But yeah, so this is why we have to watch what we say, how we say it, when we say it, where we say it, because some shit we shouldn't even be saying. Person. Now, these definitions are from the Black's Law Dictionary, so this is how it works. Number one, it says a human being. And in the courtroom, the word person and human being do not go with each other. That's the last thing that it means inside of a courtroom. Number two says a corporation treated as having the rights and obligations of a person. Now, this is how they look at you inside of a courtroom. They look at you as a corporation. They don't look at you as a natural person. There's a difference between a person and a natural person. So they don't look at you as a natural person. They look at you as a corporation treated as having the rights and obligations of a person. It says that counties and cities can be treated as a person in the same manner as a corporation. And this is how a natural person could sue a whole county, because that county ain't just a county. That county is a business. Just like a person could sue the United States, because the United States is a business. So it says that, however, corporations, counties, and cities cannot have emotions of humans, such as malice, and therefore are not liable for punitive damages unless there is a statute authorizing the award of punitive damages. Now, this is how I win in court. In court, you got the right to face your accuser. A lot of times in court, they're going to have whatever state or whatever city as the plaintiff, and that's completely illegal. They cannot have a non-living entity as the injured party, because how can this non-living entity known as the state be injured? Yeah, good rabbit hole. Look into that. Okay, the word apply. It says apply for can be used as a verb that means to beg for something. According to who? Your boy, Merriam-Webster Dictionary. So therefore, when you fill any application, you're begging. When you fill any application, you are begging. And this is the trick. First, they trick you into pledging your allegiance. And this is how they get jurisdiction. And then they teach you to be proud to be a U.S. citizen, which is one of their subjects that are subjected to their statutes, codes, ordinances, and etc. And they know that you're Moors, but they create benefits and they created commerce. So we had to work for this new currency that they have called money, paper dollars, reserve notes, not even real money. So therefore, since they came up with this new materialistic world, which is the Matrix, that's all the Matrix is, the materialistic world where they trick you into buying all this other stuff that got nothing to do with your soul and your spirit. When you apply for a job application, they look at you as begging for a job. They look at you as a Moor who no longer operates as a Moor, but is operating as a 14th Amendment slave, which is a U.S. citizen now. And now that you're applying, which means to beg for, they look at you as someone that's begging for something from them. And when they accept your application, that is the corporate entity accepting your form of begging. And this is how they extend jurisdiction over you, especially for Social Security and any other benefit that you receive from the United States. Because if you receive any benefits from the United States, then yes, they have all jurisdiction over you, your children, in anything that you can imagine. And this is how they could come and take your children. Matter of fact, this is how they take your children, because you register. Register means to voluntarily sign over for safekeeping, abandoning complete ownership for partial ownership. Oh yeah. So this goes for when you register your car, you give up complete ownership for partial ownership. This is how they can come and take your car from wherever it is. And they don't want to drive it. They just want to tax you for it. Same thing when you go and get a license, when you get a registered nursing license. Remember, God gave you that ability to acquire that skill. But when you go and register that skill, you just signed over complete ownership of that skill for partial ownership of that skill. And the proof of it is your license. Your license has a date on it. And if they catch you operating outside of that date, they're going to penalize you. They have a place for you to go where they hold their subjects, not Moorish subjects, their subjects. So yes, when you register anything with your government, you sign over complete ownership for partial ownership. This is sorcery. This is spelling. These are spells at its best. So when you think, hey, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to just go and do this way. Understand that you could be walking right into a spell. Because remember, a citizen is a native or naturalized person who owes allegiance to a government and is entitled protection from it. And this is why they keep up the fake wars. They keep up the fake wars because it makes you afraid of these other countries who don't care nothing about you, man. These countries ain't worried about you. It's our bullying ass country that be trying to go over here and push pistols over there is what's going on. But they keep reversing the game to keep you scared, to make you want to be proud to be a U.S. citizen, to make you feel like when they just went and completely destroyed another country that you won with them. This is why a lot of soldiers come back saying, man, fuck the army. Because they realized that they weren't fighting to save their country. They was over there oppressing other countries. But all in all, being a citizen is more of a spell to it. It says that more subjects lost their nationality only by becoming naturalized in or protected by another country having treaty relations with the Moorish Empire. And us Moors have multiple treaties with the corporation known as the United States Corporation, as you can see here. We are the pyramid. We are the Moors. They demonized the pyramid to make people think that it was the Illuminati. They're still calling it the Illuminati right now, because they would shit bricks if we found out that it was really us at the top. And not saying we're at the top doing bull crap. This is the highest level of information that will make their everything collapse. This is why they demonize this at the top. And notice how it says law versus policy. And policy is in all capitals. Well, go and look at your ID card. Look at your driver's license. Look at your insurance card. Oh, yeah. Look at any real important mail. Look at any court documents. Oh, yeah. because that is the sorcery. There is a difference between your name being in all uppercase and lowercase. It's in the Styles Manual. The Styles Manual will tell you about this. Shout out to James C. Lovett, my boy, the Bad Wolf, all day. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. This is the sorcery. So to God, you are his child, but to them, you are property. And I'm showing this slide because it goes further to show how deeply they have to spell on us and how deeply involved we allowed ourselves to become. The picture on the right shows how women are supposed to give birth because our ancestors knew this already. Remember, when we were created and given this divinity and given the hierarchy and the empires and the ways to do things, they taught us these things. We were given the instructions. People keep wondering, well, what did they take out of the pyramids? What did they take from Africa? They took the instructions, the blueprints. We all know that is by our sciences and ultimately by common sense that it's easier to have a child in an upright or squatted position. And natural birth is associated with a lower risk of postpartum, hemorrhage, infection, and other complications. And I'm about to go forward, so if you want to read the rest of it, just pause it, take a little read on it. It's some pretty good information. But this is the real issue. The real issue is that if anyone is familiar with the Marines or anything like that, all ships are female. Rocket ship, cruise ship, whatever it is, it's a female because females carry the product. They look at us as property. And when you are in manufacturing, this is how it goes. The manufacturing process, when you produce a product, that is the man and the woman having intercourse. And the woman is getting pregnant. The ship equals the woman. When the ship pull up to the dock is the doctor. When a woman is sitting down, how she's sitting in the picture below, she is what's called sitting at her berth. And this is what ships do when they pull up and drop the anchor. And when you break your water, they make it appear that you have now broken international waters into the United States, which is a corporation. The birth canal pretty much is where the baby comes down, but also with ships, this is where the product comes down also. With ships, you have to have a certificate of manifest for whatsoever on the ship. For women, they give them birth certificates, having the same credentials, height, weight, color, the manufacturers, or the parents. And then we have the trickery at delivery. And the trickery at delivery is that in Black's Law Dictionary, the term artificial person is a actual term. The term legal fiction is a actual term. And a artificial person is a non-human entity that is created by law and is legally different, owning its own rights and duties. And I am here again to tell you that you are not the birth certificate. You are not the social security card. An American citizen is a natural person. Remember, America is the geographical land itself. So to be an American citizen, which is a natural person, a natural flesh and blood human being created by nature, not by legislature, entitled to all of their personal privileges, has unalienable rights, secured by the Constitution and God, and not subject to unconstitutional corporate laws. But the U.S. citizen, on the other hand, is a legal fiction, an artificial person who waives all unalienable rights because you are an artificial person under the jurisdiction of whatever government that you belong to. And you operate under corporate statutes that they create day in and day out. You're not entitled to personal privileges like your children and how they can take your children and etc. And it says acts as an agent for the purpose of collecting revenue because these legal fictions are the United States' debt. So what takes place is that after birth, they have you register for a birth certificate along with applying for a social security card. And we know what these words mean now. So unknowingly, when you apply for your social and birth certificate, they see you as crawling and begging to the government for benefits of being a citizen because you are not capable of taking care of the child on your own. And by law, you signed over complete ownership for partial ownership. And this is why us as melanated people, and I'm going to say black people in America, has to get off the benefits. Because they got the benefits there to handicap you. And now that they got you handicapped, they can pull you left and right and front and back because you can't get off the benefits. And as long as they're offering you a benefit, they can tell you what to do. They can pull up at your house and take your kids. They can tell you that can't no man be in that house that they provided for you for $125 a month. So we got to do better, y'all, as a whole. We got to lift the spell. Secretly using the Black Codes of 1724, the states forced their shadow to incorporate themselves and their property with the states by misrepresentation of authority, threat, and coercion. The rule of the colonial states is to use the force of color of law and color of authority. And remember, when you use color of anything, it is the appearance of it. So they're using the appearance of law and the appearance of authority. It says the color of law, this phrase means with the apparent authority of law, but it actually conflicts with the law. So what they've done was they pretty much secretly tricked us into incorporating our everything with them, from registering everything that we have to them. Even when it comes down to marriage, they make you get a license. You don't have to have a license to marry someone. This is in direct conflict with the Moorish Constitution. Because remember, it's the Moorish Constitution that gave way to the United States to be an operating force in totality. So all of this goes directly against universal law. The practices that they're implementing, like getting a license for your skill, or a license to love and be married. Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, implementing what we just learned. Reading the 14th Amendment sounds different now. The 14th Amendment is one of the most important additions in the United States Constitution. It was created after the Civil War, adopted on July 9th, 1868. During the Reconstruction era to help integrate formerly enslaved people into American society. Now, for those who don't know, the Reconstruction era was when they completely reconstructed the history that they were going to be teaching and altering going forward. So if you didn't know, that's what that is. That's when they were whitewashing everything that was black, getting rid of everything that they couldn't lie about. And the 14th Amendment is itself where they created pretty much an avenue to have jurisdiction over a certain group of people that want to agree to be descendants of slaves. And remember, we are Moors. We were never slaves. And what appears to be slavery over here was forced commerce under a spellbound language that put people into slavery because they didn't know what they were saying, they didn't know what they were agreeing to. Okay, propria persona. Now, this is major. Propria persona is Latin for proper person. In court, you have to be in propria persona. If you're not in propria persona, then you are blood in the water to sharks. And the reason why is because the European courts are designed to work in their favor, designed for you to identify as property and to be treated as such, and that the United States corporation are the overseers of the chattel stock and property of the European colonial empire. And identifying using any name other than the Moorish noble titles waives all of your sovereign, unalienable rights. And what I mean by that is trying to be Indian or Native American or whatever else that you think has standing in court, it does not. If you are not a Moor inside of these European military courts, then you are prize and booty to those pirates, is how it worked. Those are military courts where they are operating maritime law. They are not operating any law that applies to you. They are not operating any law that applies to them. They are merely operating on your lack of intelligence. And with that lack of intelligence, you sell yourself into voluntary servitude because before you are actually locked up or catch any time, they make sure that you agree. And they are using color of authority and they are using color of law to give the appearance that they are in authority when they are not. The Moors are the original creditors to the United States, and we are the original creditors in general, just operating because we are sovereign. The term debtor is synonymous with defendant. So when you are in court, you have plaintiffs and you have defendants, you have creditors, and you have debtors. And whoever is a defendant is appearing to be indebted to whoever is the plaintiff. So it's a real lot going on. It's a whole lot going on. I want you to, no, I'm about to go through it with you. So this is how it works. This is called the Peter Taylor example. It says that the name Peter Taylor for this European denotes at law that the European is a free man. It says that this Peter Taylor, who is obviously European, is lawfully tied to his national parentage, and that he honors his ancestors, for he carries their name. Peter Taylor, the name Peter and Taylor, is of European English descent. But look at this brother over here, whose name is Peter Taylor. It says that the name Peter Taylor for this Asiatic denotes at law now, the property title of the Taylor family, whose name he bears. And this is why the Moorish noble titles are so important. We've all seen it where a black person and a white person went inside the courtroom on the same day with the same judge, and the white person may have done a lot more than the black person, and the black person would still get more time. Because inside of their European courts, they're not about to give the slave owner more time than the slave itself. It further goes to say that in the modified, sophisticated, bureaucratic slavery of the juristic United States of America. The states are the overseers of the European family's shadow stock, and that this Peter Taylor, who is obviously Asiatic, does not honor his ancestors, for he carries the name of his slave owner, who is from a different pedigree nation. So when the judge says all rise and y'all rise and he call your name, if you agree to that name, you already just bagged and tagged yourself. They have court planned out to the degree that they make so much money in such short amount of time that they gonna, as soon as you say that, they're already gonna start adjudicating you. After you get up, say your name, sit back down, they're gonna go through all the court cases till they get back to you. But when they get back to you and you're operating as that name, yes, you have signed over everything because you are operating as a descendant of a slave, and you're operating as a person not competent of who they really are. Yep. So appreciate it. Thank you for riding with me to the end. I want to say like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions, send me a message. Today, what we went over is still actively going on right now. It's a lot of dumb stuff they're putting in the TV, in the rap, and everything that's causing people to go nowhere in life. And we have to change that. We have to pretty much drop the rap music now. We got to drop the TV. We need to damn near drop social media if we can't find a way to constructively use it for positive gain. But yeah, because until people are able to think for themselves, they need to stay away from the outside influences. A lot of this stuff is the spell itself, the broadcasting, the Hollywood, which is the wood that wizards and witches used to make magic wands out of. It's a whole lot of trickery, a whole lot of etymology that's at play. We need to, just be better people, choose to use better words, educate ourselves, definitely educate our children, our young women, definitely, because they are going to be the future. And let's just keep it going. Appreciate it. Holla at me.